Record. Here we go. Welcome to Vancouver's ChatGPT experts. This is the second session, and we are glad all of you are here. Meanwhile, probably more people are gonna join us. Then time to time, if we end up to look at the off the camera, means I'm just looking at the other list and let them in to come in. Then today we have one of the sessions called Untold Impact about skyrocketing your emails efficiency by Hamed. Then if you're here to learn about how you can, leverage and take advantage of ChatGPT features and functions, today you are in the right place to learn how to do it around generating emails. Little bit of a, report about our groups. We started literally about a month and a half ago. And in April, we have 257 members join our group. And today, before this session, the group, expanded to 389 members. We have 124 RSVP yes for second session, which is today, as well as the 3 organizers. A quick disclaimer, we are here to learn all of us together because, the topic is new, there are lots of resources, and the platform itself is new, the concept is new. Then when we are talking about this, details here, please make sure that you practice it yourself, review it, or just in case, sometimes you might need to talk to an expert. Then this is going to be our disclaimer that we are all learning here together, and nobody going to be yet as a super expert in ChatGPT. Unfortunately, based on our Zoom package limitation, we can only allow 100 people join in today. Then we might end up, we still have a lot of room for people to join in. But if we reach the limit, then unfortunately we don't have a choice to let these people watch the video later. And now we are going to introduce our speaker, Hamed Taheri. I know personally Hamed from a long time ago. When he was doing his master degree, then he was doing his PhD at UBC, and I'm not sure what happened with his, education at the time, but I know he started his own business, and he get into business for lead generation, marketing, and sales. And following him here and there, he generated a super duper platform that works with ChatGPT so great and called personalized AI. That's the reason actually I asked him to be a part of this group and share some of his experience about how he connects ChatGPT with APIs and take advantage of this amazing thing that he did in personalized AI, and share some knowledge with us. And at this moment, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let Hamed start his session. And I just want to ask, because here and there we might have, some background noise. I'm going to ask everybody to put, themselves on mute. And later, if you want to talk, just raise the hand and you can unmute yourself at the time. Thank you. All right, Hamed, it's all yours.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar hosted by Ali. Our intention is kind of to provide some ideas, maybe some examples of how you can consider ChatGPT as part of your business, or part of your professional kind of activities, even personal. And one thing is from sharing examples and discussing it together is it's all about getting that idea and how to interact with this new thing, these types of large language models. The way you communicate, provide information, and as a result, you get rewarded by very high quality content for the specific task you are using it. So my hope is kind of beyond the examples, we would work together I do my best to share those kind of know-hows and ideas how we would guide a model like this language models to do a job for us and a task for us, and also I would point to some possibilities that that the market is going towards, and something that might be interesting for you to look for in next coming months and maybe even year or two. So a lot of things happen in the industry. I just a bit about me, kind of just make sure that kind of we have some kind of understanding about my background. I'm coming from a technical background, so if there are missing information about like a more business nuances, I definitely need your feedback, and we can work together. Please comment, please share your thoughts even during the presentation. My background comes from more machine learning, AI. I work a lot in a startup world, building products, and in the last couple of years, I work a lot with more sales and marketing function of B2B organizations. And I was fortunate to work with an amazing team, and kind of we were kind of thinking about what we've done over a couple of years ago. Since then, the team and I kind of we are seeing that we are impacting more than $1 billion opportunities for B2B companies, and that gave us a lot of learning. But I'm a technical person. I'm passionate about technology, and when GPT-3, which is the engine behind ChatGPT, came to the market on 2020, that gave us a new trigger to pursue some ideas I'm going to kind of to share very briefly at the end. And yeah, that's me. And my intention of this webinar is to share email writing. So the goal is simple. I'm not going to talk about sales or marketing or more advanced jargon, like a more technical conversations. I'm going to talk about examples, ideas, and with the hope that kind of will give you some kind of practical lessons that you might be able to use even right away or from tomorrow. And so I came up with the 3 categories. I'm not sure if they would cover everything, but I thought that give you a good coverage. One is in daily business communication, we have with internal people in our organization, or with peers, with partners, with people we know in their network, and potentially some customers, some potential past or future potential customers that you are interacting. I would call them more day-to-day types of conversations. It's not like you have a specific task in mind. There are a variety of topics you might cover for those activities. And the second would be customer support. And finally, I would put a different hat, and not marketing and sales in a very more corporate and enterprise level. It's more about, I have a community, I have a small firm, I have a expertise, that I have a community that I want to build a relationship with them. And typically we don't do it because we don't have the capacity, or it takes a lot of energy to write emails to them and build a relationship and give them value over time. So I have some ideas I'm going to share on the topic number 3. So I'm going to start with a quick introduction about ChatGPT. Sam mentioned that recently he started to interact with it, compare that with the Google, and it's very comparable with Google, and very likely Google offers a new type of capabilities, but both are under umbrella of language technology, language AI, but they have different ways of approaching the problems. And actually, ChatGPT is using an approach in AI that they pioneered a few years ago and open source that. And kind of that's interesting that some company like OpenAI build on it, and very likely Google has their own answer to it. So it would be interesting. So the thing I would say about ChatGPT as a language model is, now I have a wording here like a virtual assistant, but the part is it can reason, it can interpret, and it can breathe at a scale, and it can interpret that complex concepts and in a complex structure of documents, and come up with for the given task, completed by writing it, an output, by summarizing it for you or categorizing it for you. So this is the kind of how I would think about ChatGPT. It knows language, it understands the nuances, the sophistication that exists in our language, and it is able to read at a scale, interpret at a scale, and do something with it at a scale. So the writing is one of the things that we want to talk today, and that's one of the key outputs we can get. But at the same time, it can organize the text data we have in different categories. It can summarize it for us. It can classify it for us. So that's kind of I would think about ChatGPT in the context that it can enhance us to do faster, to be faster and more effective in writing, reading tasks that before, maybe a year, 2 years ago, it wasn't imaginable, even believable that anyone except human can do it for us. So and the other side is I'm going to talk about, with that context, more about email. I want to be safe, I want to be more effective, I want to be more efficient, and I want to do more and with the power of ChatGPT. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk about the first. Actually, there's another slide. So, this is the way I would think about it. So when we talk with our peers, our other colleagues in our organization, maybe we talk with customers, when we are networking on LinkedIn or the people we know, and we are engaging them on email or different channels, at the end, we have something, what we want to communicate. That actually is a 10%. The amount of time and energy, because we respect the recipient of that email, the amount of time we spend to make sure that we elaborate effectively and communicate with it is the part that is consuming. And that's the part that we want to go and use ChatGPT for. So that is still 10%. That we know the domain, we are the expert, we are a human, we understand the history of the conversation, we can contribute there. But because of that 90%, a lot of time we don't communicate, and just kind of with the lack of communication, lots of problems start to happen. Or instead of writing a full detailed report or something that we want to communicate on an email, we ended up with just kind of like a partial conversation, a partial communication of what we're supposed to do with that. So that 90% is the part we are hoping that ChatGPT can make us a better professional in our engagement with other peers and other potential customers. So daily business. When I'm thinking about daily business, what part that I struggle myself, I've seen from my own team that there are lots of like miscommunication that we've seen is we don't articulate well. We have that kind of the list of things we want to communicate, but that 90% kind of limit us, hinders us from kind of doing a good job, and then we ended up with some kind of unorganized way of communication, and that's a lot of kind of polishing we have to do. We need to work on that, and that's the kind of ChatGPT. If we can do it faster and we focus on the core, and then like tweak it and edit it at the end before we send it. So that saves us a lot of time, but at the same time we can do better in communicating with our peers and customers. So I'm going to show you a couple of the examples, and I prepare some examples. One is a report to a manager. I'm going to report my manager about the progress I had. The second example would be communication. I have a conflict with my peer in our organization, and I need to deal with that conflict, and how I want to do that. So, and we know when we have a conflict, sometimes it's the peer, we have different management style, we have different priorities, and we have lots of kind of serious type of conversation, and we have to bring that into a very positive kind of way of communicating that with the peer. And that takes up hours for me, and I know a lot of people spend a lot of time and energy to do a good job because we have that relationship. We want to fix the conflict, but at the same time, it takes a lot of time. So with that, and also summary of a meeting, that's another thing that we've seen a lot. And I'm going to show you a couple examples here, I guess. Yeah, no, that's not here as well. Okay, let me go here. Oh yeah. So first thing is I'm going to show you a report, and please, I appreciate if you give me feedback. For me, is kind of I prepared some drafts, and if you have some ideas that we can even make it more interesting, just let me know, and we can tweak it and work it together. So let's say I'm working in a company. I have two projects to report for. One is QRF project, one is XYZ project. and I have a lot of things that I have in my notes that okay, over the last 2 weeks before after my previous meeting with my boss, I since then I work on verifying the information that we needed to work on the proposal. I engaged David on that. I have this whole content prepared, and I have a lot of information prepared since that kind of conversation. And one thing is like I just want to send a bullet point. So at the same time, I need to start the email with a good tone, and at the same time, I want to guide my boss to a very easy way to read my information. And at the same time, I want to be very detailed and in an articulation of what I've done because I want to show my accomplishments. So it's good for me because I can be more effective explaining what I have done for the company, and it's good for my boss to know what I have done, so he or she can help me to do my better job for the organization. So I have this text in my notes, and if I want to write an email, I need to come up with the introduction. I need to think about kind of how to start these two projects to explain it. And I have these notes. You already know, like so. So the idea is kind of I want to go use the ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to help me to write this a report to my boss and report my progress since my last touch point, which was bi-weekly. So write an email to my manager, Sarah. Every I'm reporting my progress every 2 weeks. This is 2 weeks since my last meeting, and I have the following notes to share with her. And so I have my notes here. So there are a couple of things. Is I'm sharing some notes. So this is my notes. Even I put clarification. I put it here that my notes are here, and then there's an instruction. I wanted this email, so I deliver very clear. So my manager name is Sarah, and even sometimes maybe my name is Hamed. So it knows who's the sender, who's the receiver. The context is this is the report. Every 2 weeks, I'm reporting my progress every 2 weeks via email to Sarah. This is 2 weeks since my last conversation, and I have the following notes to share with her. So I can just enter and see what it does. Typically, it's not that complex types of content. Bi-weekly updates, progress report for XYZ and QRF projects. Hey, dear Sarah, I hope this finds you well, and so on and so forth. So let's do it together. So as you can see, so like it just put the glues to my notes, make it there is some grammatical errors, it removed them, it make it very consistent and easy to read, and put all together. And so as you see, this is a long email. So I have because I have many examples, I just tell you all other things I could have done. One is I say, okay, sorry, super busy, and I don't want to send a very lengthy email. So I would ask ChatGPT to make it a one-pager report as a one instruction. So this is my report. Even I put some kind of ideas about XYZ project, some timer, like a date. So make it one-pager report. Then I make it a one-pager PDF file attached to email and say, okay, this is my one-pager. Write another email for me in 5 sentences, 4 sentences. Engage Sarah and say, okay, please check attachment for my my bi-weekly report on my progress on these 2 projects. So that would be what I would do to make it even easier for my manager, my boss, to learn about my progress. I impress her with what I've done since then, and also maybe kind of easy for her to give me feedback. And yeah, that's the kind of one example. And and okay, I just want to, I'm getting tempted to play with this. So let's say Sarah gets the about email. She uses write a summary max 4 sentences for her to know the details of this email if she does not have time to read it yet. So I assume that my manager is responsible to read it, but at the same time, I just want to give you possibilities. So the other side of the conversation, when you get a very lengthy email, sometimes you are in a support, you have an angry like a customer, and sometimes you have a lawyer, the legal, maybe from the other negotiation side, there's another lawyer that are probably lots of notes, and there's a huge email. Sometimes you want to just get the gist of the conversation, and then once you have time, and you get some, you would spend more time to review that. But just kind of you want to get some ideas. This is what Hamid is doing that. So okay, I have some ideas. I would do it for maybe later this afternoon. I would look at this email, but I have some idea what the progress Hamid had. So it's good enough for me, and I can move forward. So that's another possibility. So summarization. So for me, it's kind of I'm just trying to communicate from a high level. One is provide me with factual data. So it's like tell me exactly. I'm a language model. I can write, but I can write fictional things. You need to feed me with the exact information you want me to communicate. So that's my responsibility. The better content I provide to the model, it can do a better job. The other thing is clear instruction. What do you expect me to generate? What's the context? Why this is happening? Oh, it's bi-weekly reports you're doing. So maybe even could be higher or lower. And so the facts are there. This is kind of exactly what I want to make sure that the model knows about the situation and about this kind of report. I'm going to provide what's the email about, who is Sarah, she's my manager, and so on and so forth. So, and at the same time, the other side is summarization. Sometimes you have a lengthy document. I'm going to show you several examples. And you want to make it very easy to read. And there's a saying in a tech community or the conversations we have. So a lot of people know ChatGPT as an assistant who can help them to write. And interestingly, ChatGPT is an amazing assistant that reads at a scale. So it's the amount of information that exists around us, and we want to consume them fast. So kind of that's a very kind of interesting perspective. Just reminding us, it's not just about writing. Sometimes you have a long text, a long report, or something we want to get core concepts of it very fast. There are limitations with ChatGPT on the amount of words it can process, but let's assume that you just be practical, but that will evolve over time as well. So there are different ways to handle that. Any questions, guys? So far, good. So the other things is conflict. There's emotion that I need to communicate with the model. So it's like I have a conflict with my peer. I've noticed that this is my note. I'm very angry about him or her, and let's assume it's he. And they say, okay, I'm very typically my issue with him is his focus on having complete control of the project, and that causes a problem. He want to always build everything from scratch, and could be much better if we can use other existing tools and platforms we have. I'm thinking that kind of he want to always control the architecture of the solution. It's a bit technical. The context is there is a peer of me who is responsible to build a product for me, and I have a conflict. I need that person to be fast, not start everything from scratch. don't allow other people to contribute in the architecture. Just rely on his own ideas. Micromanaging people. That's the toxic culture he's putting the people there. And so I'm worried, and I need to figure a way to communicate that. Okay, so let's see how I can do it. So there are challenges here that I need to hopefully, with the hope of ChatGPT, to kind of communicate. So I have write an email from me, Ahmed, to John, who is the head of software engineering in our tech company. I have the following concerns. I want to communicate them in a constructive way. Communicate the constructive to John, and my goal is the goal is that when he reads the email, he opens his guard and give me an opportunity to find a way moving forward. And the context is, I don't want to fight. I don't want to just blame and be negative. I want to be positive. And maybe I also add that to the maybe ChatGPT needs to know that I do not want to cause any further conflict. Use a friendly peer-to-peer tone, and that we are in the same team fighting for the same goals. Okay, my notes about the conflict. So this is the context. This is exactly my thoughts, and I want language model ChatGPT to come up with a good way of communicating with my peer, which is I have lots of negative things I want to share. At the same time, I want to keep it like a friendly and open and kind of like I just want to continue the conversation. So let me see how it does it. Seeking constructive collaboration to project success. So the issue is, I'll explain. So okay, so you see, first, again, if I have an advisor reading my emails, they want to give me, okay, make sure that it's an observation and thoughts. It's not like a condescending. It says like a peer-to-peer. I have some observation and thought I want to share with the project. And definitely, we wanted to talk to significantly enhance our productivity and teamwork. So at least you are on the same side of the conversation. Let's talk, I think. And then acknowledge his key role in the organization, and make sure that he knows we understand his value in the organization, and even mention we have issue with he's not allowing other people to contribute, but at the same time we want to make sure that kind of your drive for perfection, just like again positive way of opening the conversation for the comment and the concern we have, so it's like just kind of I think you're reading it, so I just read one of the paragraph maybe or two to just give you context here. First, highlighting the like a hint and as a value, so it's not like a blaming or like a talking like in a way that person close the guard and don't let us to communicate further, and then reminding that we want the best for the company. However, so nowadays once I nail that, I care, I understand you are an amazing person in the company, and the maintain code has led us down a path of building the entire software system from scratch. down a path. So it's like, now I'm talking about the concern, but in a very positive way. So you get the idea. So what I wanted to communicate with this example was, again, the emails are long. There are different ways that we can make it shorter, or we can come up with different ways to communicate it. But this example, comparing with the previous example, is the beauty of this, maybe one of the unique beauty of ChatGPT. It wasn't possible before with the older versions that understand the context that well. So it's conflict. I'm working with my peer, and I want to just like understanding the tension, potential tension that can happen, and articulating in a way that is still saying what I fit the model to say, but at the same time put it in a positive context. If I wanted to write this, moving from these notes that I have in my brain, okay, it took me maybe 1 or 2 minutes, because I know what the exact issues are, to this beautiful email might take me a couple hours. And a lot of energy, because I always need to do the psychology about the person. I need to just make sure that the politics is there, the articulation is right, and what we are seeing is like this doesn't have a good draft. And if I just let me show you something else, if I redo it, the first of all, the model will be notified that I'm not happy with the first version. That's another piece of information. So it tries to write it a bit different. And the other thing I would have done is like I put another feedback to the model, why I like this model, what part of the email I like, what the part of email is too much or too little. So the model wants that feedback even do a much better job. So it's like I didn't do it now, maybe I do it for other examples, but that was kind of something I wanted to share. Yeah. Again, finishing with a good positive energy, and I love to discuss it further. Coffee or quick call. It's all about moving forward. It's all positive wording that I expected to have to be added to my intensive concern that I had about this situation. So I needed to address it at the same time. I want to be strong and confident and very positive in the conversation. So I feel right with this draft, and every one of us have lots of details or ways of thinking, so we can provide it as a context to the model and maybe some examples, and the model will follow that in its writing. Any comment, any thoughts before I move forward to second example, to third example? All good? Okay. The third example, I chose the situation that happens a lot of time, and that is we have tons of documents and notes in different places in our organization. We go to meeting and we start taking notes and we talk about different topics, and it's just a bit messy, but we have everything almost there, but it's not organized. Sometimes there are many tools recording that, so we have a text of the meeting. Let's say don't go that far. Let's just stick to the notes. There are solutions for that part. But let's say we have someone in our team taking notes, and suddenly we have a long list of notes. We have deadlines, we have action items, and that happens every day. I might have a couple of them every day, every week. And this example, I wanted to show you. I've been in the meeting with, let's say, with 5 executives. And now I want to share a summary of that to my employees and the people engaged in this related to project to this one. And I don't have time even to read it again. I don't have time even to know digest what we discussed into 1 or 2 paragraphs. So that's a task that will happen a lot in our different things we do professionally. And my hope was kind of just showing this and writing an email. Use the opportunity to just give you a possibility that writing and summarizing. So there are 2 things that the model does: read everything, come up with the key pieces that I want to maintain in the content. And first, I also introduce who we are, where the meeting happened. So this was executive conversation that we had. and then who will receive that? So they will introduce me to the audience. So knowing who we are and who would get this email, so that helps the model to come up with a way to summarize it, at the same time tailor it and summarize it in a way that would be useful for that end users. Let me see what. Okay, so it's the team. Okay, let me go to the new one, and I can the GPT-4. Last week, all key executives and managers involved. I think that's right. Because that email is about, you started the meeting by expressing the concern about the project or relationship between us. Okay, maybe that's what concerns. Okay, I just forget what was this email, what the meeting was about. So, oh, that might be interesting. It's okay. I summarize my meeting that I had last week. Here is my notes. Okay, that's exactly one of the situations. So a lot of time, it's kind of takes energy. So in your last week meeting, the key points revolved around issues about the project management approach. There was a concept about an incident on building the software system from scratch. Oh, that's related to the previous one, which was, since let's say the email I sent, and now I met John and we discussed that, and now I want to communicate back that to our team. The communication seemed to be challenged, with the team expressing that expectation were not clearly communicated. So there are lots of things that we tried to discuss, and ended with willingness to find a compromise that balances both with efficiency and team autonomy in order to work together more effectively. So, okay, I want this meeting was last week. I want to send an email to everyone who attended this meeting and reminding them about key things we discussed, and also what I expect them to do in next coming weeks, next coming 2 weeks. Yeah. And what else? I'm the project lead, and everyone is reporting to me. I do not want to use authoritative something wrong. Like a more, I don't want to use a more more managerial tone, versus I want to build more team relationships and positive teamwork. Write the email for me. So what happened was, first of all, okay. Oh, you know what happened? I copied the wrong summary. So that's what was super similar to my conversation with John. So let's say, but for the sake of time, if we have time, we really go to these notes. But you get the point. Sometimes, and I do a lot of times. Sometimes I have a potential customer and they book me, and I just go to their website without reading, just copy paste it and to send it to ChatGPT, tell me what they do, give me some, like I have 2 questions. And that saves me a good amount of time. And I made a mistake of not copying this part well, but the idea is still there. So I passed the wrong information, but it got the point give me that, and now we're providing the team with a summary of that, and you see this even added some kind of information based on the context. Again, now it adds another different value of language models. So to summarize what happened in the last few minutes, I had a long summary. I summarized it for myself. Then I used the opportunity to, after a week after the meeting, write an email to remind people about the meeting. So imagine that you do it every week. So if you are a manager, you have a team, and typically meeting ends and nothing happens until the next meeting. And if you are lucky, you have the notes, you'll go through the notes and review that. But imagine that you create a process for yourself. So every important meeting you have, just make sure that you establish, make sure everyone remembers the agreements and key things that you discussed. You use ChatGPT, write an email based on what you already discussed 7 days after the meeting, and send that email now to the team. Kind of, it's a hack. Like you don't even read the details you discussed. You don't even think about the email. You just send the email. Make sure that the team would remember the details, and that pushed them to be accountable. So, hey guys, last week we had this meeting. We discussed this. I expect you that you make sure the next meeting we would have maybe in a week or two, you come up with some results, and we have some discussions. I didn't read my notes, I didn't write the email, but still I've done an amazing job that typically is impossible with the amount of work we have in our hands. So the other thing that I just wanted to highlight, so as you saw that I reminded the model that I don't want to be top-down manager to employee type of conversations. I just want to build a relationship with them. I want to be positive. I want to build that, kind of build that types of culture in my organization. Interestingly, the model used my information first, and it started to talk about different things. And interestingly, as you see, it started to add some kind of extra information about open communication. Very likely it wasn't part of my original note. And what it means is the model, that's the kind of the model read almost everything that exists on the internet. That's a bit beyond that. But the idea is it knows a lot about culture. It knows about teamwork. And when you say that I have this summary from the company, from the e-meeting, I want to communicate. At the same time, I have this management goal of teamwork. It's what it already knows about that. So that from the literature, from the internet, and expand your idea to build that culture and educate your team on your behalf. So it's like so remember the first example I talked about giving the context, instruction, and then providing accurate data. Interestingly, some of the context we can provide, it can trigger the model to use its own understanding of that topic to write for you. And I don't know if you know about that ChatGPT. I think on a medical science and legal science, they are as good as a lawyer and a doctor in understanding. So they know a lot in some domains. So you can utilize it in your favor. So when you are educating your team, when you are communicating with customers, you don't need to remember all the details. You just remind the model about the framework that you want to communicate with the email. You just use the information on the web and inject it in your communication with your team, with your customers, with your peers. So sometimes this is a more, so there are some education. So if you have an organization, if you have employees, sometimes you want to know how to use ChatGPT to be more effective and efficient. That was the category 1. The category 2 in this example is more customer support. So it's part of your team facing customers, and some of them are junior because of affordability, and some of them are seniors. But senior, and they know how to, they know customers, they know how to communicate with them. But they say at the same time they're super expensive. And one of the interesting opportunities for even for us who work with customers and also new hires we have is train them to use effectively ChatGPT for a specific task they have every day. supporting, answering the concerns customers have, kind of help them to find the right information they're looking for, and a lot of time people are angry with our services for some reason, and they might cancel their solution. So if your team knows how to support and to serve their customers, a lot of times those angers goes away, and people stay, and that issue gets resolved, and everything moves forward. So you're also kind of working on your reducing the churn of your customers. It's kind of it's healthy. So it's like the part is the first category I talked about was everything. Everyone needs to know about this technology and potential other similar technology that coming to market, because that new skill set is like a knowing internet in early 2000. And now it's a new internet. So like people need to know to be more effective and faster, and they can do more, and they can be better in communication. They can build better relationships and so on and so forth. But the second part, there are categories. Every part of the team might use ChatGPT for specialized tasks. In this example is customer support. Let me give you some examples, and I'm going to show it to you. And again, I'm open to work with your other examples you might have in mind, but let's show it to you. So as you know, I'm working a lot with the sales and market technology. It doesn't mean that the example is very general. We can generalize it to any type of industry. So I wanted to draft something as an example. So I rely on something I've seen before, which is everyone knows, if you are in the business, like you might know about Salesforce, HubSpot, and let's say HubSpot is a CRM that our company is moving to, and me, who is the person here, John, is responsible to implement that. So for some reasons, they are paying a lot to HubSpot to do it, but they are struggling to import info contact from the Salesforce, which is the old CRM they had. So it's frustrating. So they are spending. So John is saying that we spend a lot of time and resources on this, and we are disappointed that we face these kind of issues. We are heavily relying on this software for our customer relationships, and I have attempted to troubleshoot it on my own. I was unsuccessful, and so on and so forth. Could prioritize my request and as far as a knowledgeable support representative to address our concerns as soon as possible. So I need help. So I paid you. I want that, and that's the kind of the tone. It's a bit serious, and the customer is not happy. So I have this email, and I am a support from the company, and so I want to answer this question. And at the same time, language model needs to know what actions I'm going to take on this. So I say write a reply to John's email below, where he has issue with us with HubSpot. Be acknowledge and fully acknowledge the issue, acknowledge the concerns, and make sure John knows that we fully understood the situation. Also include what we are going to do as provided below. Okay, this is John's email. And I put there, okay, what we are going to do. So let me make it number 4. And okay, John is angry, and they have this issue in next 2 hours. one of our senior technical support will contact them. We are going to please give us some time, a slot to review the issues over a Zoom call. Send us some snapshots, or we're going to do or expect John to do. Send us some snapshots or short videos of the problem for us to review before the call. So they have the best support because they're paying premium on the enterprise, and I won't write that. So use a very polite tone to and use wording to reduce tension and stress from John. Okay, so let's see. So what happens? I have a ticket. The template I can share it with my team. So once you have an urgent need help, always remember this is template. Make sure that you follow these types of language. Acknowledge the concerns. Make sure that they know you know the situation. Repeat what they already identified, and then provide a solution. Where so you can find what we are going to do is here. Just like you might have a couple of bullet points of template. Make sure that what we are going to do based on your domain expertise. You don't spend time to write that email. Make sure that you use your expertise to understand what you, as a company, you train to make sure that you would answer that. And then suddenly you have a very beautiful email written. Okay, that's a good email, but again, honestly, it is too long. It is too long. Make it shorter than 150 words. Keep all key concepts there and there. So I can ask the model to make it shorter. If it was a sales, I would go around 190 words, 100, 110. But sometimes I want to make sure that it's not too small. Again, it made it super short. I understand your frustration with the current issues. My sincere apologies for the inconvenience caused. We are prioritizing your concern, and a senior technical support representative will reach out to you within the next 2 hours. Please a few suitable times for a Zoom call and any snapshots, so on and so forth. So revise. I'm just playing with it. Just kind of revise the above email by adding some possible kind of some info from the original email. So some people in a support, it's important people that you make sure that even some they know that, but they want to hear from you. I hear about your challenges about the contact import and Salesforce integration. So it feels simple, but sometimes it helps a lot. You acknowledge that I identified that it's a how can I say it? It's a part of good practice, and then you come up with a plan. You say, okay, I know this is the problem. You said that, therefore I make sure you know that I read your email. Now I have a solution for it. It's not like a general. So I have a solution tailored to your unique situation, and I'm going to solve it for you. Be patient with me. Follow this instruction, and I would help you. All good? Any thoughts? Any questions? Okay. And again, I'm using John's name a lot, but these are like hard examples to work on with no context, and at the same time be generic and don't use any confidential information. So I came up with a scenario that John is hired by someone named Rob, let's say, and Rob hired John and paid John, and also paid significantly to HubSpot license for HubSpot licenses, and John is responsible to deliver that to Rob. Rob spent that amount of money, hired John. Couple of weeks now, nothing happened. and everyone is not happy. So John Rob write an email to John, put some threats there like I'm not happy, and your lack of communication and progress is causing significant delays in our business operation, and so on and so forth. So there are concerns, and John needs to figure a way to make his employer happy. It's a contract, high value contract, and at the same time, John is dealing with HubSpot team, and now John is reporting to Rob, who has the money, who has the and his credibility is kind of is in danger. And the idea is how I can address that. So, so that's kind of the scenario that I'm going to show you. So, what I can show, let me go back to the high level. So, one thing that I want you to observe is it's sometimes we have communication. You read the answer, you summarize, you provide some bullet points. Sometimes we face with scenarios that involve anger, concern, conflicts, and the beauty is you can navigate through those scenarios even with ChatGPT, and honestly, if you follow like in the last generation, the previous generations of language models, it's so hard to detect them and follow instruction to address them. So it's beautiful that it's happening in a very easy way now, like for every one of us to use. So let's say write an email from John to Rob. Rob sent the following email. And I want you to address all of the points Rob mentioned and provide an answer to each. Please consider that Rob is the boss, and the tone of the email should be respectful, address concerns, provide solutions, and also some and also propose what John is going to do with each of the concerns. So so Rob email and so okay, so I have the context, I provided Rob, and hopefully I used 2.5, so it's not as good as so you see how very fast, but not might be as good as ChatGPT 4. But because we don't have time, so like you need to compare what this and that. Let me show you on GPT 4 because it's a bit better. So it's like it's fun to see the latest version, and ChatGPT 3.5 does a good job, but I like to explore that together as well. So I appreciate your candid feedback and understand the concerns you've expressed regarding the progress of HubSpot implementation. I apologize sincerely for any disappointment. So there's an apology there. First, I acknowledge that the communication progress reports have not been up to the expected standards. So to rectify this, I will ensure that. So I understand. So this is the concern my boss is telling me. I wouldn't bring excuse. I would acknowledge it. I would come up with a solution for that. So hopefully John is going to use ChatGPT from now on, so he can deliver faster, so he wouldn't be kind of overwhelmed with providing lots of reports. I believe this will enhance. Regarding the implementation itself, while we have encountered few unforeseen changes that have resulted in delays, I'm committed to getting us back on track. By the way, you remember, so always ChatGPT would use what we provide them. I was in Russia for the presentation of this webinar, so if I have time to go back, I would add the situation between HubSpot and ChatGPT, HubSpot Salesforce contact importing, and that issue that I already put a ticket, an urgent, high priority ticket to HubSpot. So that's a kind of information that I would use to answer the second concern. So my boss Rob knows that I'm serious. I'm proactively trying to solve the issue. The issues that are happen are unforeseen, but it's a bit vague here because I didn't provide that detail. So it's beautiful text, but the accuracy is not there yet because I didn't provide enough information for ChatGPT to utilize. So I'm working tirelessly. Everything is good, but it's still vague. I have no idea what the problem was, but that's the kind of the gap of information. People use that as a political way of not saying what is happening and say the answer. So that might be the scenario for this case as well. But honestly, sometimes the idea is my gut feeling is Rob would appreciate it to know what kind of issues you're facing, where you are in the progress. So it's like that kind of context. Okay, we've done this. We were struggling with this, and for those who struggle, we already did this with HubSpot and with that solution. So that's kind of when you are in a premium high kind of like a high-end kind of services working with like large organizations. That is expected. You need to explain. You don't keep it like a vague. So the language model did the job without you having that information, but we can even make it better and better. That is the concept about the financial loss. I proposed a meeting with our finance team to evaluate, discuss potential solutions. This could an adjustment in our service fees. So it's like, again, that might be interesting policy. So it's like, if there is a loss, and that's our responsibility. Again, I'm learning from even the model. So if I regenerate that, so there might be different things that I might come up with an idea. Okay, that might be an interesting way to address that. Rob is an important client for us, and I want to make them happy as possible. They need to know that we are in everything. Like we are committed, and we don't want to make sure that like at no cost. Like we might do even more things to make sure that we want to make sure they are happy. So overall plan. So again, there's a plan here. I like it because 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a bit lengthy email, but I like the way it is structured. And what I'm going to ask you to observe is the way a language model. It's not human. It's not a senior person. Like a senior, now start an email, go one by one, answer one by one, come up with a plan. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wrap it up and finish the email. And it's not a junior work, it's a senior work. And typically, the opportunity we have here, but if we train our team, if we provide these types of templates or prompts that they can utilize to answer the report, first of all, we can be faster and more effective. And the other thing is like with the limited resources, some of them might not be senior, or might be junior, still we maintain the quality of a senior communication with our clients, with our partners, and that could be interesting. So please observe that these types of quality of writing and communication is not an easy thing that you can train people to do. But the prompt, that could be a template you provide to your team. It's still the same email, and maybe it does the magical job that just create a high quality email on behalf of your company. That's your brand voice. That's your credibility that your potential junior person might kind of be responsible, be the point of contact. But we can address it this way. And
I just want to mention that it's 7:13. Then you have about 7 more minutes.
Okay, I'm almost done.
And there's one question here. We're saying, can we ask for a specific tone?
Of course, we can ask for a specific tones. I didn't. I should remember. I mentioned that like I want to make it friendly, peer to peer. Sometimes when we talk about tone, we talk about poetic, casual, formal. But interesting with the language model, we can say the tone I want to feel like expert to expert, a team member to team member, and things like that. Not typical way of describing a tone. but it means something. Like I'm talking as an expert with some jargon in this industry with my peer. I'm an engineer to engineer kind of conversation, and you can describe it with more words. You have that opportunity, language models, but things like friendly, or formal, casual, things like that. Of course, that actually guide the model a lot. Sometimes I generate a result. I'm not happy. It's not formal. It's not casual the way I want. Instead of there are two ways to address that. One is go back, change your prompt, change the way you instructed the model, and regenerate. The second approach is, okay, I like the email, but do a follow-up instruction. Okay, in the email you generated, I love everything, but change the tone to be more casual. And sometimes I find this second approach more effective when you have more complex instruction. At the start, overwhelming the model. So the model might start ignoring parts of your instructions, so just sticking to the most important ones. That's an issue, especially with ChatGPT 3.5. GPT-4 is much smarter. So if you tell the GPT-4, you will very likely it will follow the tone you're prescribing to the model. But in ChatGPT 2.5, it might ignore it, and therefore you have to remind the model maybe in a follow-up chat. I think that answered the question. Since the time is limited, I have a couple of minutes. Okay. Let me show it to you. I think that might be interesting. So I have a content firm. The example is for marketing. I'm an accounting firm. I'm a content. I'm working with SMBs. Typically, people I know are referred to me over the last 10, maybe a couple of years. I'm in the business 10, 20 years. And I go to events. I use my business card. People come to my website, subscribe. They have maybe a couple thousand of emails, and I'm auto ideas for writing marketing content to them. I don't want to just write generic, but I just want to remind them that if they need a content or they know a content, they contact me. At the same time, in emails, I want to give them value. So again, it's a generic topic, but my hope was kind of to communicate an idea to you guys. So I have, let's say I'm a content. I just want to tell them I'm very progressive in my industry. I'm looking at what is happening in the market and so on and so forth. And I read this in the blog, and I'm going to use it as a hook, as an interesting reason to reconnect with my team, my community. Say, hey, first name. I appreciate, like, it's great to reconnect with you guys, and I was reading about this blog, and I see that the accounting role is changing toward this and that. I thought of you as part of my community, and I wanted to share this and that to you. So the one thing is too long, and first of all, I might need to read it to write it, and that would be, as I mentioned, ChatGPT can help effectively to do that. So I might copy part of the blog, say, okay, the ChatGPT summarize, give me a summary of the following blog post, and I use the ChatGPT 2.5, but I have a summary here. I want to write a marketing email to my list of emails I have collected over years around my accounting firm. I want to use I want to reshare the above blog as a value giving way to reconnect with them, write a marketing email to my network using their first name and be use, actually that's not used, the tone of friendly and expert to expert, and advisor to SMB's owner. Write this email, include the reference to the above blog, add some and invite at the end, invite them to contact me for possible ways that I can help their business. And yeah, let me insert that. So how technology is revolutionizing the future of content. So this is the person I know. Say hi, hello, first name. As a business owner, you know that accounting is a crucial role in your success. The accounting is revolving with business technology. In the recent course we discussed. Well, that's again, that's the ChatGPT is a bit kind of, I need to be more accurate. So I need to tell them this is not my blog. Okay, I need to correct it. This is not my blog. I read it from a very credible website in accounting. Write the email as a way that I am connecting with someone that I know well over years or well. So it's like it feels like a very super template. It's like a nothing like I know you. It's like help everything as a business owner. No, I want to make sure that like there's well from past interaction. And Ali, I'm going to promise I would finish this, but my hope was kind of to remind people of a possibility, like hello, first name, I hope this email finds you doing well. It's been a while since we last connected. I wanted to reach out and touch base with you. Recently, I came up with an excellent article that I thought would be of interest to you. It's all about how technology is transforming the accounting industry, and it's packed with valuable insight and so on and so forth. There's one more missing piece that I had a time I would do it with. I didn't introduce my audience. I mentioned that there are business owners. If I expand on that, so it brings more jargons that more business owners would love to hear, how to make money, how to save money, how to invest here on that. So that would give me a combination that I can start generating one at every video or every month. Now I can reconnect with my content, my community, and always remind them, hey, if you need an content, if you want to save money here and there, just contact me. You already know me. So and that's there. And
great, thank you.
Yeah, that's all good, I guess. Comments, I think. So guys, yeah, that's, I think you already know everything. I'm good with the presentation.
Okay, Hamid, thank you very much for your presentation. You know, we have another 8 minutes till 7:30 to be on top of the 90 minutes that we promised. You know, if you want to be in touch with Hamid, he already shared his email address in the chat box. Please, you know, copy the email address, send him an email if you need more details or more, you know, copy of the slides. I'm going to share my screen here again and just finalize the event today. There we go. Yeah, I actually wanted to share a very small details as well. You know, as you saw, Hamid keep using this structure, you know, to ask ChatGPT to write something, which is called prompt. You know, ChatGPT is all about the prompt. Then you have to ask what role you want this, you know, machine play for you, and what kind of data you want to, you know, create, and eventually how you want to see it. Okay, then this is like one of those cheat sheet regarding ChatGPT that you can find lots of them online. Then, for example, you can say, as an accountant, perform a summary in a PDF format, then the rest of it. Then if you come up with the various formats, as you saw, Hamid keep using this structure and saying, hey, as this, as that, then do this, do that, give me an email format, give me the summary, give me a list. And that's how it works. I'm gonna ignore this slide, but I'm gonna post it. Then if you wanna, it's not all about ChatGPT or other platform out there. You go and find them, and I definitely want to set up an event to just everybody sharing, their information and their experience with anything except ChatGPT, and let us know, for example, if they create video, if they create, any kind of images or anything else with everybody, in the group. We're not gonna have a time for share experience today, but we already posted, the next event for June 7th. That's gonna be another 100 level. When we say 100 means, junior level content for people who are new to ChatGPT and they want to learn basics. Then next time is about how to build a better relationship with ChatGPT. Okay, we're gonna talk about what other possibility, what other function, what other options are available, and we're gonna come up doing a lots of brainstorming, and definitely gonna be an interactive session, because but just bring up those concepts, we're pretty sure people in the presentation gonna come up with more ideas, and then we want to share all the ideas and get the very good outcome out of that session. Then the session is already posted. Please go and RSVP. And thank you everyone for joining us today, and hope to see you next time.